This video is the first video in a series which will explain referencing and how to avoid plagiarism. This unit is very important as the information that you learn here applies to all your other modules. A huge aspect of writing in tertiary education is making sure that you reference properly. In this video, we're going to answer 3 questions. What is referencing? Why is referencing important? And what will happen if you don't reference? Let's first look at what referencing is. Referencing is identifying any ideas that are not your own. So you have to reference every single idea that is not 100% your own original idea or common knowledge when you use these ideas in an essay. You identify these ideas in the text as in-text references and in the reference list. Both these aspects of referencing are important, and later videos will go into the technicalities of how to reference in text and reference in the reference list. For now, a good rule of thumb is to remember that you need to reference whenever you explain or refer to ideas that you didn't make up yourself. When in doubt, make sure that you provide a reference for any idea that you refer to. Most of the time, you're going to have to reference. In fact, it's easier to remember when not to reference than when to reference. The only time you're not going to reference is if you're providing a historical overview, if you're referring to your own experience or observations, when you're writing a conclusion which repeats ideas that you've already stated and already referenced, or when you refer to common knowledge. Common knowledge is knowledge that is in the public domain, which is undisputed, which circulates freely, and that is not under copyright. This sort of knowledge is generally accepted and doesn't cause significant disagreement. For example, the statement, "The Earth revolves around the sun," is an example of common knowledge. People mostly agree that this is the case, and there's very little disagreement about this. This knowledge has also been around for a while and is not copyrighted. It's in the public domain. As mentioned before, if you're ever uncertain about whether or not to reference, it's best to just reference. It's more likely that you're going to need to reference an idea than you're not going to need to reference the idea. Let's move on to our second question, which is, why is referencing important? Let's have a look at this quote. Academic writing relies on more than just the ideas and experience of one author. So what does this mean? Basically, it means that we want you to draw on other sources. In order to write an academic piece, you need to make sure that you back up your claims. And you can back up your claims by referring to other authors and other research that has been done by other academics or other scholars. In fact, you probably won't pass your assignments if you only refer to your own ideas, opinions, or experiences. You need to back up all of your claims, and in order to do this, you need to refer to other sources and reference. The only time you're not going to have to reference or refer to other sources is when your lecturer explicitly tells you that you shouldn't refer to other sources. So what kind of sources can you refer to? You can refer to books, websites, journal articles, news articles, legislation, the CAPS documents. There's a whole wide array of sources you can refer to, and we'll talk more about these sources in a later video. For now, you need to remember to refer to other sources and to reference when you refer to those sources. You can think of yourself as something similar to a lawyer. If a lawyer were to stand in court and say that their client is not guilty of the crime they've been accused of because the lawyer thinks that they're not guilty because they're always nice to them, the judge probably wouldn't really believe the lawyer because the argument is just based on the lawyer's experience. However, if the lawyer called up witnesses who also testified that this person was unlikely to have committed the crime, if the lawyer could produce documents and evidence to show that the person wasn't at the place of the crime at the time of the crime, then it's more likely that the judge will believe them. In a similar way, when you refer to other sources and you provide evidence for your claims become stronger, and you have added more weight to your claims by referring to other sources. Another reason we reference is to allow the reader to trace the origins of the ideas we refer to. If we provide references, then the reader can find the sources that you referred to and check if the information is correct and up to date, or read further on the topic if they want to. When you provide references, you show your marker that you are aware of the field and the progression of ideas that have built on one another to lead to this kind of culmination of ideas in your essay. Remember, academic discussion and debate doesn't happen in a silo. It's more like a web of ideas. And academics need to refer to each other and build on each other's ideas in order to come closer to building a more accurate body of knowledge. So when you refer to other people's ideas, you become part of that web of academic debate and ideas. The last question we need to answer is what happens if you don't reference? If you don't reference, you will be guilty of plagiarism. Plagiarism is purposefully or accidentally passing off someone else's ideas, thoughts, or words as your own. If you copy chunks of another person's writings or refer to their ideas without referencing them, then you are committing plagiarism. And it is very risky to do this in any tertiary environment because you are required to put your essays through Turnitin. And if you have copied chunks of writing from another source, then Turnitin will pick this up and you will get naught for the assignment. So you need to make sure, firstly, that you use your own words when referring to other people's ideas, instead of just copying and pasting them. And secondly, that you provide references when you refer to someone else's ideas, to show that those ideas are not your ideas, but ideas you found in another source. In short, it is absolutely essential that you learn to reference correctly. Why? Well, Test 1, 2, and 3 for academic literacy all include questions on referencing. Test 1 focuses entirely on referencing. There's a section in both of the rubrics for assignment 1 and 2 which focuses on referencing, and 25% of your grade for both of those assignments is determined by how well you reference. Referencing is not just important in ACL. You will be tested and graded on how well you reference in all of your other modules. Most rubrics for most assignments will include a section which marks you on how well you referenced, and this section is usually 10% of your final mark for that particular assignment. Please make sure that you watch the videos that follow carefully. Referencing is not hard, but it takes a bit of attention to detail, and you need to make sure that you reference accurately. In general, you need to make sure that you follow the rules that are stipulated in the referencing guide, and that you provide a reference for every idea that you use that you didn't make up yourself.